What's up, guys? It's Nick. Now, today we are going over why not having a purpose is literally ruining your life and basically exactly how to get out of this situation. Because if you were anything like me about 2 to 3 years ago, I was basically just depressed and lost. I had no purpose. But over time, I figured out how to get myself to be sexy again and literally back into the best physique of my life, back into the version of me that was actually pursuing his goals and achieving them rather than just watching on the sidelines. So basically, the biggest difference from right here to right here is the fact that I realized there are only four pillars in this life, literally only four, and it's the mind, the body, the soul, and your purpose. Now, I want to make one thing abundantly clear. I can't just sit here and tell you what your purpose is going to be. But what I'm going to show you in this video is how to level up your mind, your body, and your soul so you earn and figure out your purpose and exactly what to do when you figure that out. So starting with the mind, this is arguably the most simple one. And there's three things that we can break down to make sure that we level up. Now, the first thing is a strategy that when I was at rock bottom, I actually used to develop my mindset, and that's called the MJR strategy. Now, what it stands for is to meditate, journal, and read. You do these three things every single day, and they don't have to be for long. You can wake up and do a 10-minute meditation, and you don't have to spend your whole day doing these things. To meditate, I just use that right before I go to sleep. I visualize my dream life, I visualize who I am as a man, and then I end up falling asleep to that. Journaling, super important because I start every day with that. You can journal to talk to yourself. You can journal to learn more about yourself, identify problems that you have, how to solve them, and realistically, just track your progress over time. But also reading. I think reading is super important because you get to put the thoughts of some of the world's greatest writers, some of the world's most accomplished men. You put their thoughts, their words into your own mind and adjust from there. 10 pages a day is all you need. And what I would recommend is starting with the basics. Read something like The Slight Edge, Atomic Habits, Psycho-Cybernetics, Think and Grow Rich, books like that, just to introduce yourself into reading. But never read a book you don't give a fuck about. Only read about topics you're actually interested in. Next is identifying the fact that you need to have a growth mindset. You have always got to be thinking in terms of growth. If you're doing something that is not helping you grow, understand why and fucking change course. Because that's what it's about. It's about developing a mindset that helps you ascend into a new version of yourself, into a better version of yourself. And if you don't have that, you're going to keep falling into old habits. You're going to keep giving into cravings. You're going to keep giving into the things that are holding you back in this life. Which actually brings me into the next point, which is growing into a new identity. You guys have got to realize that if you're living with your parents, if you're working a job that you don't like, if you are a version of yourself that you feel like has no purpose, isn't doing the right things, then that is an identity problem. And you need to cultivate a new identity, a new realm of behavior, a new realm of thinking in order to level up and find your purpose, in order to become a better version of yourself. Now, once you're locked in with those things, that's when we move on to the body, okay? And the body comes down to just dialing in your nutrition, your fitness, and your clothes. Now, we start with nutrition because here's the thing. Food is fuel, guys. And if you're overeating, you're not properly fueling your body. You need to dial in the macros. You need to make sure you're eating enough protein, you're eating enough calories, and doing it in a way that is actually helping you work towards your goals. If you're trying to lose weight, eat in a calorie deficit. If you're trying to gain weight, gain muscle, eat in a caloric surplus. And you should be eating real foods. Personally, I like to fast for the first 2 to 4 hours of the day. I think that's great in terms of helping my body just get ready for the day. I don't like to be overly full. And that actually translates right into my fitness. Because you know what? At the end of the day, you don't need to be going crazy. I just train for about 3 to 4 days a week, about an hour, 15 minutes. That's literally all you need. You should be focused on leveling up your body. You know, for me, I want abs. So that's why I like looking like this. You know, I'm a unit right here. I have basically some sort of abs a little bit, but in all reality, I'm focused on developing a physique that I can maintain year long. And that's exactly what this is. Right around like 27 to 2,900 calories per day, right around 180 grams of protein per day. And finally, clothes. Guys, listen, you gotta ditch wearing sweatpants 24/7. It's okay to train in sweatpants. It's okay to occasionally wear sweatpants around the house, work in them, maybe go out and get groceries in them. But you know what? You got to upgrade your wardrobe because it is a sign of like, I don't really give a fuck about myself when you constantly wear shitty hand-me-down clothes. Don't do that. One of the best ways to not only capitalize on proper fitness, proper nutrition, a developed mindset, a new identity, is to change your wardrobe. So throw out the fucking old hand-me-downs and start upgrading that shit immediately. Now that brings me to the third pillar of life, which is your soul. Guys, listen, if you're not developing your soul, then what are you doing, right? Your soul connects you to the divine presence of God. And if you're not praying, if you're not reading the Bible, and if you're not going to church, then you're depriving yourself of these things, depriving yourself of God. And that's unacceptable, right? America, especially if you're in America, this is a Christian country. I'm not going to go too deep into this because you know what? It really is as simple as praying more, reading your Bible more, and going to church just a little bit more. I'll be honest, I'm slacking on the church thing right now, but I know for a fact that when I'm actively going to church, I feel my absolute best. You're connected with a community of people who love God, who really are trying to become a better version of themselves and live to be Christ-like. You just can't go wrong with that. But I will say, one of the most important things is having faith in Jesus Christ, having faith in God, but also having faith in the fact that you are here for a reason. And a big part of that reason, at least in the worldly, is to find your purpose. What makes you tick? What is it that you do for work? How do you earn an income? How do you positively impact the world? These things are part of your purpose. And I truly do believe that if you dedicate yourself to developing your mind, your body, and your soul, you will find purpose in your life. Not only from a personal development standpoint, but also for a career standpoint, right? Because no one wants to work a 9 to 5. And I don't believe God has you here to work a miserable 9 to 5. He has you here to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life to positively impact people, but to also earn a living from that. And do that handsomely. Now, this was a very simple breakdown of it, guys, but I do believe that if you actually dedicate yourself towards leveling up your mind, body, soul, you will find your purpose. And when you really think about it, every category of life fits into these sectors. If you're depressed, that's a mindset issue or it's a soul issue, right? If you feel like you have low energy, you're probably lacking purpose. If you're fat, then you need to develop your body, your nutrition, your fitness, and make sure that you have a plan to do so. I hope this video helped. And if you guys feel like you need extra help with your mind, your body, your soul, your purpose, book a call at the link in my description, because I am taking on one-to-one clients who actually want to level up and are serious about not only finding purpose, but just living a better life. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.